Konnichiwa, Nihon Cricket Pod do Yokoso. Welcome to 2023. It's a new year. It's a new season. It's a new episode of the podcast. I am Alan Kerr, the head of cricket operations at the Japan Cricket Association. I'm your podcast host, and I'm joined today by one of my regulars, Community Cricket Manager, Japan men's national team coach, Mr. Dhugal Bedingfield. Dhugal, welcome.
Thanks, Alan. Always a pleasure to be here on your wonderful podcast.
How's the off-season treated you, mate? What have you been up to?
Oh, it's a long off season,
Isn't it?
Long, cold, miserable,
Snowy,
windy.
very windy.
Yeah,
Lost a few trees.
not a fan of the winter in Japan. Much prefer the summer.
For the heat.
Yeah,
Swimming in the river.
absolutely.
No dips in the river at this temperature, is there?
No, not much water in there at the moment.
true,
But that'll change once the torrential rain hits Japan.
But I know that you are a fan of the sakura season. You've been hanamiing.
You're struggling to spit out a verb there.
I really did. Hanamiing in Tokyo, in Sano.
Yeah,
General surrounds. You've been down to Osaka in the off season as well.
yeah. We had a good trip to Osaka. Ran some JPL trials. The Kansai Chargers looking strong this year for the JPL. Very exciting.
The only team that actually managed to get their trials off the ground, as weather has been interrupting the best laid plans of the JCA as per usual. The under 19, under 15 squad trials were postponed, and the regional trials, the first of their kind, were cancelled following heavy rain last week. We did get the women's trials off the ground. But as we look ahead to the new season, it starts this weekend, which presumably means that your customary century is on the cards.
Oh yeah, round one century. Absolutely. Lock that one in.
Well, there's a lot happening this year, isn't there? There's some new competitions to talk about, and there's plenty of the old competitions as well. Why don't we start with the JCL Division 1? That tends to be the program that starts the season, and it's the one that lasts the longest. It's the bread and butter of the cricket season in Japan, if you like. Why don't you tell me, first of all, how many teams are in Division 1? Any changes? Anyone promoted? Anyone relegated from last year?
The 12 teams, and they are the same 12 teams as we had last year. So there was no promotion or relegation. Same 12 teams will battle it out again across, it's about 7 months. It's the one everyone wants to win. And last year, the Tigers won it for the second time.
Yeah, Tigers got home, taking out the Tokyo Rangers, one of the surprise packages last year. Went the whole season unbeaten until the final, which just goes to show you got to peak at the right moments, doesn't it? So we'll have a quick look at the JCL Division 1 in a moment. But any new teams in the league this year? Is it still the 31 teams as it was last year? So 12 in Division 1, 10 in Division 2, and 9 in Division 3, I think.
Yeah, we're unchanged from last year. So some consistency there.
A year of consolidation. There are a few applications to get in, just to let everyone know there is an application process. We usually have teams knocking on the door trying to get in, but it's quite a strict criteria to get into the JCL, isn't it?
Very, yeah, very. But if clubs are doing particularly well with development work for Japan cricket, investing in women's cricket, junior cricket, then we'd certainly welcome them in.
Yeah, good. So 31 teams, 12 in Division 1. Last year we had, correct me if I get this wrong, we had the Tigers, the Rangers, the Falcons and the Men in Blue made the top 4.
Yep, that's
and the
correct.
Rising Stars finished at the bottom. So
Yeah.
I'm going to put you on the spot. How do you want to do this? Should we go through all 12 teams and have a little assessment of how you think they're going to go? Or do you just want to pick straight off the bat your finishing 12? I'm putting you on the spot, as I like to do.
I'll let you, you're the host. So if you want to go through each team.
Yeah, why don't we go through each team, and we'll start with looking at the league table from last year, and we'll go from bottom to top. How about that? That seems like a good way to go. So we can start with the Rising Stars. Actually, before we do that, I wanted to ask you if there'd been any significant player movements, because I believe there are a few players moving between clubs this year, which may well impact our predictions.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some big ones. Not as many as in previous years, which is good. We do like club loyalty, trying to limit the number of transfers if possible. One of the big ones, Makoto Taniyama, the Japanese Shane Warne, moving from Sunil back to his old club Max.
Just a one-season wonder.
Yeah. Masaki Kawashima, very talented Wyverns batsman. Wyverns no more, moving to the Tokyo Wombats.
Yeah, saw an interesting bit of recruiting from the Wombats, strengthen their top order.
Yeah. There is talk of Hitesh Akabari moving from the Men in Blue to the Falcons, controversially. Interesting.
Yes, I thought that was an interesting one.
And even more interesting, Gurban Singh, who's led the Alpha Cautious attack for a number of years, moving to the Tigers, as if they need any more good players over there.
Yeah, that is a significant move.
One I'm interested in, Zubair Khan, the tearaway fast bowler moving from the Tokyo Rangers to Sun. Could be a good fit there.
Bit of pace into the attack at Sano.
Those are the big ones that I've spotted.
The one that has been talked about, which I'm not sure if it's 100% confirmed yet, so we're probably breaking news here, is a certain Vinay Iyer.
Oh, yep.
Who is dropping out of Division 1 to go and get the team that he founded promoted. Vinay will move from Max to the Kawasaki Knight Riders. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Take over the captaincy, get his club in order, and hope that they have 3 teams in the JCL next year, which would guarantee him promotion.
That'll be hard to beat in Division 2.
Yeah, I think they will be.
Definitely.
So, yeah, some interesting moves. That you've named all the ones that had stood out to me as well. So then let's start at the bottom and work our way up. The Rising Stars. Now, no wins last year, having had a relatively decent campaign the year before. They've survived. They've not gone down. I think they finished bottom of Division 2 as well. So it was a difficult year for them in 2022. You see that changing this time around?
No. Unless they can uncover a couple of classy batsmen. They really did. They have struggled for runs the last couple of years, and just finding that player that can open the batting and have a 200, 250 run season. They currently have that. So I've got them finishing last again.
Yeah, they're pretty reliant on Ubaidas, aren't they? He tends to score a lot of quick half centuries, but doesn't usually get the big scores. So I think he's the one who needs to start really punishing teams when he gets in, rather than the little cameos that we see a lot of. Okay,
Definitely.
So another season of struggle ahead for the Rising Stars, you think? Max Cricket Club, they finished a quite shocking 11th last year after years of dominance. I'm not sure they'd ever missed the playoffs as long as I've been following the JCL. So tough year for them, just the one win. Where do you see them going this year?
Yeah, I was on the other end of that win too. I thought they were all right. They'll do better. Last year, definitely. They can't be that bad again this year. And they really did finish poorly last year as well. And I think they've perhaps addressed some of the issues in the off season. They've lost in AI, which doesn't help. But gaining Taniyama, I think, is a huge win for them. He's going to team up with another young leg spinner, Masato Morita. Bit of a mix of youth and a lot of experience there. I expect them to do better. But I've got them around mid-table, around 7.
Yeah, they struggled with their bowling attack, didn't they? And I think that Taniyama coming back will help that, but there's still a bit of work to be done.
They need big Dinesh Sandaruan coming in and bowling fast.
Yes, they do. The Tokyo Wombats, we talk about them quite a lot in the fact that they are blessed with 2 of the finest opening batters in the land. Is that going to be enough to get them off 10th where they finished last year? They had the 3 wins, but they do tend to rely on Richie Bracefield and Alex Shillelagh-Patmore for their runs.
Yeah, I think they'll do better this year. I think there's a lot to like. They are recruiting, I know. If they can strengthen that bowling attack, I can see them moving up the table as well. I've got them around 8th, but potentially higher than that, knocking on the door of the top 4.
Knocking on the door of the top 4, interesting. You're looking to Kawashima to
There's a
get
few
some
ifs
runs as
there.
well. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. Isn't there always
Around their bowling, definitely.
Now, the Chiba Sharks, your own team. I presume you'll be wearing the armband again this year.
Yep.
No.
As always.
So you've had a few players shift overseas for the off season. Marcus Thurgate, Ibi Takahashi have spent their time in Brisbane. Are they enjoying it so much that they're coming back, or have you actually just lost a couple of players?
I think Marcus is coming back for round 2, and Ibi will be coming back for round 1, but we may lose him later in the year as well. He fancies playing more cricket in Brisbane. So yeah, we are missing a few players, and it'll test our depth a little bit, I think. Don't ask me for a prediction on where we're going to finish. I'm no idea. But,
Yeah, well,
we, as always, our goal is to make the final. Yeah, we need some players to step up, that's for sure.
yeah, it was only a season and a bit ago that you were lifting the trophy yourself. So,
Oh, yeah.
see if you can bring back the glory days. Now, the Alpha Quashers of Yokohama, they finished 8th last year. We've already talked about a significant loss in Gurman Singh from their bowling attack. How do you think that's going to impact them?
I think it's a big loss. Yeah. Yeah, just a few question marks now around that bowling attack. They unbelled 1 or 2 more batsmen last year, but you need to be able to keep teams to under 200. So there's a couple of question marks there on the bowling. So I could be wrong. I could definitely be wrong, but I've got them sliding down 10 at the moment.
Yeah, they're an interesting one. Now, Paddy Foley's surprise package last year. No one really predicted them to do very much, but they ended up 7th, comfortably in mid-table, and they also, of course, won the inaugural JCL T20. So that shows they've got guys who can hit the ball and play the shorter format. How do you see them going this time around? They were pretty reliant in that T20 competition on the old warhorse, Prashant Kale. Not quite sure if he's going to be turning out again this season. He seems to be talking about hanging up the gloves every time I speak to him, but I'm sure once the season comes knocking again, he may well be rethinking that.
Yeah, it's hard to place them. I just wonder if they overachieved a little last year, finishing mid-table in the JCL and actually winning the JCL T20. So I've got them near the bottom or at 11, but they can surprise you sometimes, the Paddy Foleys.
Yes, they can. Now, the top 6, top half of the table. Last year, Wyverns normally finished 5th. They normally miss out on playoffs by, a point or some net run rate or something like that. They missed out by a bit more than that last year. They missed out by 3 points last year. But always there or thereabouts. How do you think they're going to go this time around? They've lost Masaki Kawashima, as mentioned, but otherwise it'll be the same odd names, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, they bat well, they field well. Kubwata's a good bowler, but he probably needs a bit more support with the bowling stock. Finished 6th last year. I can't see them finishing top 4, but certainly around mid-table.
Yeah, they've little and large opening bowling combination, haven't they, with Tomonoshi Noki, who has been one of the leading wicket takers 2 years in a row.
Yeah, he's done well last year. 22 wickets.
It's a lot.
Unbelievable, yeah. So I've got them around mid-table.
No, I remember sitting here last year and doing the same prediction, and you had Sano Cricket Club to finish 2nd. I think I had them about 9th or 10th, and they didn't quite make finals, missed out by a controversial run out. Ended up 5th. They've got some pretty handy players. You've seen them in pretty close contact to their team in that they are training in the Sano International Cricket Ground on a regular basis. How do you think they're going to go this time around?
Certainly improved last year. I might have been a year early with the prediction of them making the final. But yeah, I think they'll be very strong this year and we finished in the top 3 teams. Potentially even winning a semi-final.
Yeah, a bit of recruitment that they've done. You mentioned Zubair Khan as well, and Ando Jise as well, a promising young Japanese player who's come over from Max, will be looking to give them a boost as well. So I'm liking the look of the side team this year, led by fans vice captain Rio Sakurano.
Yeah, definitely. And if they can get young Ryan Drake into their team for the first part of the season as well, they've got a Zimbabwean Dino Ruholde. If he plays a bit, they're likely to win a lot of games.
Got some handy players, they can call them. So the top four last year, as you mentioned, the Tokyo Falcons sneaked into the playoffs, having made the final the year before. They've consistent couple of seasons for the Falcons. More of the same this time around.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're one of the teams that will be battling for that last semi-final berth. There's a few teams in the mix there. Their arch rivals, the Men in Blue, the Chivas Sharks. There's a few around there, maybe even Max and Wyverns, who they'll be really fighting tooth and nail for the last spot for. So if they do well there, they'll make it again.
Yep. Look at the way the guys set up. Now, my only prediction that I got right last year was for Men in Blue to make finals. They didn't go very well in the semi-final, but they did finish third in the table. It was the best finish for them. They got a new captain this year, Abi Frey Dewan, will be leading the side. How do you see them going under his captaincy? The loss of Hitesh is a big hole to fill. One of the most economical bowlers in the JCL, from what I remember.
Yeah, he might have been their best bowler. So a bit of a loss. Yeah. What do you think it does to a team when they lose a semi-final that badly? Do you think that hurts, or it's just ancient history? Move on.
Well, I think it definitely hurts. The question is whether they can use it as motivation this time around. I think I haven't got the fixtures in front of me, but I think those early couple of games will be pretty important. To get off to a bad start, I could see it being a season of struggle. But that said, I've seen quite a lot of videos on social media of their awards night, and it certainly looks like they brought the fun times back to the team. So I don't think they'll be sweating too much. They like a dance to the Men in Blue. So I think Raul Call will be leading the charge on that front, and I'm sure his merry band of men will be with him. And I think the morale is not too much of an issue in that group. So if they get a couple of wins early on, momentum might be with them.
Yeah, they can put up scores. They've got 3 or 4 batsmen now in that top 6 who can regularly score runs. Probably just a little question mark over their bowling again, as there is with a few other clubs.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they did well enough last year, keeping teams to manageable scores. So you might say that they should get that last semi-final place.
You think they should? Heaping the pressure on.
They should.
Like,
doesn't mean they will.
Last year's champions, Tigers Cricket Club, not just at the JCL, of course. It would be remiss not to mention that they won the Japan Cup as well, a rare double. No one had done that since 2013, I think. And at one point, it was looking like they were on for a quadruple as Division 2, Division 3 teams both made finals as well. Just the one loss last year to the feeling they lost to the Rangers. Actually, maybe they didn't lose to the Rangers. They might have lost to someone else. But yeah, they 7 wins in an 11-game season and then got home in the final. As always, likely to be relying pretty heavily on the Sabarish Ravichandran from the runs. Ranjit Murli scored 100 in the semi-final last year.
He had a great year, didn't he?
He tends to be, when they win stuff, he tends to be at the 4, I've noticed. When they won it a few years previously, he was a regular run scorer. So I think it's safe to say that they'll be in the top 4. Do you see them retaining? It's not easy to retain the JCL.
Yeah, I think they'll finish top 2. And you'd be surprised not to see them in the final. Absolutely. They've got probably the best balance in terms of their playing 11 now, which they probably didn't have a couple of years ago. But yeah, they've got a number of role players now with the ball. A good job for them.
And last but not least, the team that finished top, an unbeaten season for the Tokyo Rangers, the newly promoted Tokyo Rangers, caught all of us by surprise. They had plenty of pedigree of players coming in, guys who could whack the ball a long way, and they kept on doing that. Had that ridiculous match against the Wombats when they scored 400 and something, I think.
Yeah.
And they've got guys scoring runs from all over. So more of the same from them, do you think?
Yeah, they've got this production line of Sri Lankan recruits who just come into the team and do well. They had Vinod Thakur make almost 400 runs for them last year, as an example of that. Marlon Dharanjan also with the ball. Very difficult customer for a lot of JCL batsmen, coming left arm around the wicket, knocking poles over. So, yeah, you thought they look good for one of those top 2 or 3 positions in the table. Can they play as well as they did last year? I don't know.
I think they probably benefited a little from the unknown quantity factor.
Yeah.
People know a bit more about them this time around, so it might just be a little bit harder. But at the same time, there are plenty of talent in that side. You don't go unbeaten without being able to know how to win the game. They did tie that game against Sano Cricket Club, which they perhaps got away with one there. So go on then. Give us your rundown.
Rundown of
your top 1st to 12th. Then you've told me whereabouts you reckon everyone will finish. Are you going to put your reputation on the line, put your head on the block?
I already said I'm not sure about the position of my team. So.
Did you feel you have to get a pass on that? Well, will you tell me the other 11 teams, and then we'll see where the gap is.
Tigers, Rangers, Men in Blue, Falcons, Matt, Wombats, Wyverns, Alpha Quashers, Paddy Foley's, Rising Stars,
with Sharks somewhere else.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah, all right. Well, I'll give you mine. We're pretty similar. Sano, Tigers, Rangers, Falcons, I've got for the top 4. Men in Blue to miss out. And then Wyverns, Sharks, Max, AQCC, although this was done before I knew about them losing their swing bowler in chief. And then Wombats, Paddies and Rising Stars making up the list. So, yeah, plenty of cricket ahead and plenty of swings and twists and turns, I'm sure, as the season gets underway this weekend. Now, I asked you for some specifics. Make a call on your leading run scorer for the JCL this year. Who are you backing?
I like Alex Patmore as the leading run scorer. He's done it a number of times before. Just one player who could put the pressure on him there is, I believe, Wataru Miyauchi from the Wyverns Club.
That's very interesting. My pick for the year is indeed Wataru Miyauchi. I'm led to believe he will be back opening the batting this year.
Yeah, he looks good at the moment.
Rather than
he will get red hot.
Spent an awful lot of time with number 5 last season, which seemed a bit of a waste. I think the only reason I would go against Mr. Shilai Patmore is his tendency to miss games in the middle of the season. Be interesting if he goes back to England in the summer, which he often does. He only played 6 matches last season, and that's where someone like Sarfaraz Petkar does so well. He played every match last year, doesn't miss a game. And when you play all 12 games, scoring 460 runs is a bit easier than when you only play 6. But yes, good to see one of the Japan national men's squad members featuring prominently, 2 of them featuring prominently in that prediction. And how about your leading wicket taker? That's something that, as we mentioned, the Wyverns seamers seem to have had a bit of a hold on it in the last couple of years. But you're going to be looking there again?
I'm predicting a spinner to take that award this year. So I think a couple of guys who probably have bowled well without taking the wickets are Piyush Kumbari and Michael Taniyama. So I've got one of them to be leading wicket taker this year.
Interesting. Well, I've gone with a spinner myself. I've gone with Sabarish Ravichandran, a very unoriginal guess. Sabarish, I'm not sure has ever been leading wicket taker in the JCL. Again, I don't think he has. Well, he'll call me up if I'm wrong.
He will.
And I think, again, he played a few games less last year and missed a handful of matches. So it will be interesting to see how he goes. Now, the JCL T20 is going to be running again, dominantly through the hot summer months of July and August. Was, as we mentioned last season, caught us a bit on the hop as the Paddy Foleys came through to win that. beating your lot in the final, the Chiba Sharks. Where do you see that going this year? It's going to be 16 teams and 4 groups of 4. Looking like largely the same, but we're going to have the same bunch of teams, but we're going to be having, I think, Adelaide and Wombats hopefully joining in. I know KO ruled themselves out again, but 15 of the 16 JCL clubs involved. So there's one invitation going out this year. So same format, which worked pretty well last year with a quarterfinals day followed by a finals day in early to mid-September.
It's a tough one to predict, though, isn't it?
Isn't it?
If you predicted kind of Paddy Foley's to beat the Chiba Sharks in the final after and Rising Stars
to get there, yeah.
So I think the Quatches might have made the semis.
I think they did, yeah.
Yeah, very hard to predict. So, you want a prediction?
I do.
All right. Yeah. Won something.
Yeah,
so
you reckon?
Falcons, Tigers in the final.
So it's funny. I think it's time for another club to win something. I've gone with Wyverns, who just never win anything.
Right.
And they're always there or thereabouts. And they're a decent T20 side.
Sure.
And I reckon that they're going to put together some form at the right time and just nick the JCL T20. So the second year for that competition, lots of it on the live stream, commentary, and the rest will be on. So do make sure you catch up with that. There'll be plenty of promotion for that competition once it gets going. And alongside the JCL T20, we're starting up a new competition this year, the JCL T10. 8 teams, all going head to head. And who's your prediction there, Dougal? An even harder one to predict.
Yeah, that's
so, well, you've got a 1 in 8 chance of getting it right. It's slightly easier than the T20.
The Men in Blue and the Rangers could suit those.
Yeah,
with Men in Blue beat Rangers in the final.
Yeah, I've gone with Rangers to take that one. It's interesting to note that a couple of clubs may well be impacted by international call-ups around finals day for that.
Right,
which might just hurt a couple of the clubs that we've mentioned, the Tigers and Sano Cricket Club. Now, if picking winners of those competitions was difficult, the Japan Cup is looking like it's going to have another 60-odd teams there again this year.
Yeah. Probably more like 67.
67. It's very specific. 2 divisions across most of the regions. I'm sure there'll be another playoff day, which usually brings the drama. How do you see that competition unfolding? I'm not going to go through each region. That would be a bit long, but are you going to have a attempt on an eventual champion?
Yeah, well, we probably identified this time last year a couple of teams very, very strong, and they ended up making the final, which were Tigers and so I'd say those 2 teams again very, very, very strong. Having said that, lots and lots of teams beat Japan Cup, so very hard to predict. I like the Wyverns again this year from West Country as well. So in the prize packet, they can make it through to the Japan Cup finals.
Yeah, one of the things with the Japan Cup is the games are spaced out a bit more evenly, less likely to get heavily impacted by a couple of days of bad weather. I know the JCL T20 was basically the first 2 rounds. Some teams only played 1 game, I think, and got through courtesy of 1 win and 2 washouts. So the Japan Cup being a bit more spread is less likely for that to happen. So fingers crossed the weather stays on our side and doesn't disrupt things. And yeah, you've gone for Wyverns. I've gone for Scuba to avenge last year's defeat and come back on top. Although I am wary of the Tuskers as well. So those East Kanto teams, which you know very well, tend to be there or thereabouts every year, especially when Supanorana starts smashing 20-ball 80s like he did last year.
Yeah, they'll be very strong again, the Tuskers.
Ones to watch. All right. So that's the domestic season covered in high speed. Of course, there's more to it this year, Dukes. The Japan Cricket season now, the pandemic is pretty much behind us. International travel is back on the cards, and a busy year for the Japan men's team. Last we spoke, you were reveling in victory in the sub-regional qualifier, and you're going to be off to Papua New Guinea to take part in the World Cup qualifying regional final.
That's right.
You'll be taking on the host, Papua New Guinea. You'll be taking on Vanuatu, and you'll be taking on Nemesis from 2018, the Philippines.
Yep.
So how are you feeling about that tournament? How are you feeling about the squad? Things shaping up all right?
Yeah, definitely. The squad's strong. We had those 7 matches in October last year. Played pretty well in 5 of them and played poorly in 2 of them, which was almost to be expected, just kind of throwing that squad together for the first time. This tournament comes during the middle of our cricket season, so it gives a chance for most of our players to get some form behind them playing club cricket. We'll be taking a very strong squad again to Papua New Guinea. Having said that, big challenge ahead. So that PNG team, they are professional cricketers. They've been travelling the world, playing mostly 50-over cricket for the best part of a couple of years. So they're seasoned cricketers, and they'll be very hard to beat. But we're going to embrace that challenge and give it our best shot.
Yeah, they're a good size in that lot, but they've played a lot of cricket together as well, which is one of the things that the Japan team still getting the hang of, really. We'll be seeing most of those Japan boys over here for the Futures League and the Japan Premier League, which is the last major competition that we haven't talked about yet. Your team obviously got up in that last year, the East Kanto Sunrisers. Yeah. Rather than going into predictions for the JPL, let's talk a little bit about the impact that having these boys come over, guys like Kendall Kadawaki-Fleming, skipper, will be playing JPL this year. We've already mentioned Ryan Drake will be over. There's Lachlan Yamamoto Lake, Declan Suzuki. There's a few guys knocking around who just help lift the standard. What kind of impact do you think those guys have to the players that they play alongside in that competition particularly?
I think it's a huge impact. The JPL is a representative tournament, just the 5 teams covering the whole Japan, squads of 14. But those boys based overseas coming over, they really add something different to those squads. They're young guys, they're fit, they're athletic, they're extremely talented. They played a lot of club cricket in the countries they're based in. So yeah, I think they add a lot to that tournament.
Yeah, and likewise, they all play, along with Kento Altidabel's the other one, who'll play in the Futures League as well, the under-23 event, where they can bring a bit of leadership too. So they get to see them pass on some of their knowledge and experience to the younger generation players.
Exactly right. And it's a good tournament, that Futures League. We've got some of the older boys, 21, 22-year-old, and yeah, they are teaching some of our under-19 squad members who also have an exciting year with the World Cup qualifiers in June.
And they do. Busy year ahead for all the squads. Whilst we're on the JPL and the national squads, I think it's a good opportunity to talk a little bit about the selection process. I know a lot of people are always asking about how they can get in the Japan team. You and I are both on the selection committee this year. What is it that you're looking for players, and when are you looking for it, more importantly, just to make sure people know?
Yeah, so we discussed before there are, 67 or thereabouts Japan Cup teams. So that's the starting point, is playing in the Japan Cup, which is basically open to anyone. It helps also if you're playing 40-over cricket, but yeah, stick to 20-over cricket for now. If you're excelling at club level, you'll then be selected in the JPL tournament, where there's only 5 teams. So that's a very high level of domestic cricket, certainly for Japan. And we have a very, very good look at that JPL tournament in May. So basically that Japan squad is selected from guys that are performing really well at that domestic representative level. So we have players, Japanese passport holders coming from overseas, for example. We've got players based here. We cast the net quite wide, but yeah, that JPL tournament's a great one for if you either coming to the Sano International Cricket Ground to watch or watching on the live stream. It's really good cricket.
And of course, it's not just showing your skills with the bat, ball, or in the field. Got to be fit and athletic, as you mentioned already. What benchmarks are you looking for from your players when you are naming squads? Anything that anyone out there need to think about how they could practice, what they need to do to pass any particular fitness targets?
Oh, we do. We do fitness tests at our trials if they're not rained off. So those people listening who have attended one of our open trial sessions have probably done like a yo-yo test, which a lot of the international teams do as well. Basically, you just keep running. The beeps, you have to make it to the next line before the beep hits, and you just keep running until you collapse, pass out. We haven't had anyone die yet, so it's sad to know.
Yet.
No.
I tell you what, I saw you put the boys through their places last weekend, and the aforementioned Wataru Miyochi was making some pretty worrying sounds when I saw him stumbling out of
I think someone had to resuscitate him, actually. Yeah, he was drunk.
But he did hit level 20, so
Level 20
must have been doing something right.
Level 20 is really good. So I think our minimum standard, the national score about 16.4 or 16.5.
Yeah.
Around that mark. So yeah, some of our boys are very, very fit. So yeah, if you're playing club cricket and you fancy yourself at the next level, it's not just about
whacking sixes,
knocking a couple of balls over the rope. Yeah, you need to be fit, start running.
Absolutely right. So with the season on the doorstep, Dukes, what are you most looking forward to?
Oh, as I said, it's been a long winter, just getting out there, watching some cricket, playing some cricket. But in terms of looking ahead to the next month, probably in the front of everyone's mind is the Futures League and the JPL. So definitely looking forward to those two tournaments as I'll be a spectator or even a coach for the JPL. So just looking forward to seeing some really high level cricket in Japan.
Might even get you back in the commentary box from time to time for little guest appearances.
Would love to.
Absolutely. We'll see if they'll let me in as well. All right, dude, thanks for joining us. I think we'll wrap that one up. I'm not entirely sure how the podcast is going to shape up this year. Probably slightly less episodes, but slightly more powerful ones as we look to assess each of these major events that we're talking about, keeping an eye on the men's game, keeping an eye on the women's game, keeping an eye on the junior games as well, the under-15, under-19 leagues. We've got a women's Japan Premier League launching this year. So there's a lot going on and a lot to be following. If you're a fan of Japan cricket, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's where you can see it all. And to follow us on socials at Japan Cricket on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Thanks, Dougal.
Thanks, Alan.
Good luck in round one, mate. I'll be looking forward to watching you score another ton on the live stream.
I'm due for a duck, I think, round one.
Bring that average down.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, quack, quack. See you next time.